Going into Double or Nothing this year, I had very high expectations for one match in particular. The Four Pillars 4-Way for the AEW World title saw four of AEW's Day 1 stars prove on the grandest stage that they are worthy of being deemed pillars of the promotion. MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jack Perry all had something to prove at Double or Nothing, especially considering they didn't go on last due to the Wilder anarchy in the arena closing the show. And what they did with their time was something special. Going into this match, questions were being asked about whether it was a smart move to put these four men in a match for the world title. People wondered on whether certain pillars were ready or not to be in a pay-per-view world title match alongside the strongest, most developed pillar, MJF. MJF has grown so much in AEW at this point that a lot of people saw him being in this program as almost a step down for him. But even if that was the case, you would never know until you try. And I believe that AEW showing faith in four of their youngest stars to co-main event a pay-per-view for the world title reminds us why we had hope for the promotion upon its inception. When AEW was founded, they wanted to give wrestling fans something different. This included giving wrestlers who you had never seen before a chance on their programming. Wrestlers like MJF, Darby, Sammy, and Jack Perry. These four men had never wrestled on a weekly television show before AEW, but the promotion signed them up and locked them down to long-term deals because they saw something in them that nobody else saw at the time. And over the past 4 years, these four men have become main characters in AEW, being part of some of the biggest matches and feuds in the promotion's history. The thing about the pillars is that outside of MJF, none of them look like the so-called prototype wrestler. They would be deemed too small by other promotions, which is why AEW having a different philosophy compared to other companies is important. They're an alternative. They don't follow the rules that other companies write. And because AEW's unorthodox approach to scouting talent, they were able to find four young wrestlers who have become fan favorites amongst the AEW audience. Don't believe me? Just watch this year's Double or Nothing for proof. Guys like Adam Cole, FTR, or House of Black didn't get the loudest reaction. AEW Originals did. The Acclaimed, the Elite, and in this case, the Four Pillars all revived what seemed to be a dead crowd at times. The context of the entire pay-per-view makes the Four Pillars 4-Way that much more important. Despite the build not being of the standard we hold AEW to, the match itself was classic All Elite wrestling and reminded me of why many of us fell in love with the promotion in the first place. All four men in this match are unique characters, and that was never more telling than during their individual special entrances. Jack Perry entered first and had no special entrance. This is very much in line with his quiet, walk the walk instead of talking the talk mentality that has seen him become more polarizing amongst the internet wrestling fanbase. He's simply here to fight, and his entrance was quick and to the point. Then you had Sammy Guevara's entrance alongside his wife Ty Mello. Emerging from behind an elevating screen, they became the center of attention and even brought back the cue cards that made Sammy a fan favorite back during the pandemic era. In classic Sammy fashion, he alongside Ty stole all the headlines by announcing that the two are expecting a child. It was actually a very well done moment that the entire crowd popped for. Even Jungle Boy couldn't help but smile. This made Sammy feel almost like a babyface before the match even started, and it proved to be successful, as I'll talk about later. A huge congrats to Sammy and Ty. Then came Darby Allin's entrance, which of course featured a pre-taped cinematic style short video where he crashed a wedding in Vegas by someone meant to represent MJF. He gets an Elvis impersonator to help him dispose of the body and hitches a ride on his skateboard to the arena. Darby then dropped in from a quarter pipe in Elvis-inspired gear, and it was all business from then on. Lastly, we had the world champion himself, MJF, being played into an orchestral version of his theme, and his throne gradually approached the ground. The devil was gracing us with his presence, and he even brought the devil worshippers with him. This felt big time and set the tone for what was about to be an incredible display by all four men involved. As mentioned earlier, the crowd for this pay-per-view was really quiet at times, but when it came to this match, they were loud for the whole thing. The beauty of this match, in my opinion at least, is that it felt like a PWG balls to the wall style match while still being timed and paced magnificently. The match started hot with Sammy, Darby, and Jack all taking out MJF early on. Then we would have very fluid and well-timed sequences where every single man in this match had a chance to shine. 3 of the 4 men in this match wrestle a very death-defying style, and that made for jaw-dropping moments that had me and everyone watching on the edge of our seats. Here's an example. 5 minutes into this match, Sammy hits a shooting star press off the top to the outside and the crowd goes wild and starts chanting, "This is awesome." Again, 5 minutes in. People like to go on about psychology and all that kind of stuff. Well, there were those kinds of matches on this card, and none got the reaction that this did in only 5 minutes. My point is, this is what people want out of AEW. This is what people came to see. And at times, it feels like AEW forgets that. But the AEW OGs like the Elite and the Pillars are here to remind them. These 4 men are so good that they never missed a single beat in this match, yet they made it feel organic. Too often these kinds of multi-man matches with crazy spots feel like nothing more than getting from one spot to another, but this match had time to breathe while also telling every wrestler's story. MJF had moments in this match where he dominated and showed that he could be just as flashy as the other Pillars but chooses not to, which ultimately proved to be the difference. Sammy had an insane babyface sequence where he took out all the Pillars and almost pinned MJF after a frog splash. The crowd was chanting his name after this. Darby showcased his unorthodox hybrid style of reckless yet efficient with his insane suicide dives and fast-paced movement. Jack Perry perhaps proved to be the most traditional wrestler of them all, to a fault, as he had a chance to win the match by cheating but chose not to. All 4 men showcased every bit of wrestling technique and style by trying to one-up each other. There was the spot where all 4 men hit the finishers of their fellow mentors, which was an amazing touch and rewarded the audience who had followed these men since day one. While there were crazy sequences in this match, such as every man hitting a Canadian destroyer on the other and Sammy hitting a Spanish fly on Darby to take out the other 2 Pillars on the outside, perhaps my favorite moments in this match were when they were just flat out trying to out-wrestle each other inside the ring. First, there was the circle where every single person in this match had a submission applied on them while applying one to someone else simultaneously, creating a submission circle of sorts. Then there was the beautiful pin sequence between Sammy, Darby, and Jack where they were just trying to steal the win one after the other in quick fashion. As the match went on, the crowd started to believe more and more that the challengers were on the level of the champion. Chants of Fight Forever in AEW echoed throughout the arena as these 4 men put everything on the line. The near falls had the 11,000 in attendance holding their breath. From Sammy almost fooling MJF after saying he'd lie down for him and take the money, to Darby almost finally getting revenge on MJF by pinning him with a headlock takeover. The moments were built with anticipation, time was given to breathe, storytelling beats were implemented, and because of that, this ranks as the best 4-way I've ever seen. Ultimately, it was Darby's thirst for revenge on MJF, Sammy's need to be flashy, and Jack's insistence on doing things the right way that cost all 3 men the title. MJF wasn't looking for revenge, to be flashy, or to do things the right way. He was just looking for an opening. And that got him the win when he placed the world title in Darby's way for the coffin drop and once again pinned him with a side headlock takeover to retain. Absolutely incredible stuff. I came into this match with the belief that only Darby would come close to winning, but as the match went on, I bit at every moment where Sammy and even Jack could have made the difference. The way this match was laid out, giving every man the chance to shine and tell their story, was nothing short of incredible. MJF remains the king. Darby remains the one looking to get even. Sammy has breathed new life into this run he's on and might have finally done enough to win the crowd over. And Jack has perhaps the most interesting road of all, as I think his character will do a complete 180 because of the outcome of this match. As long as MJF is around, he'll have these 3 men breathing down his neck, and the story of the 4 Pillars will only continue to grow. With some fine-tuning, there's absolutely no reason why the other 3 Pillars can't reach the top. This match was a huge step towards that. If you're of the opinion that some of the Pillars aren't ready now, then fair enough. But I think one day, when all the main eventers currently in AEW are gone, the company will be thankful that they invested so much time and effort into MJF, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Jack Perry. This isn't the end of the story of the 4 Pillars. It's merely the first chapter.